Ahem! Welcome to the Five Nights at Freddy's crash course! Good. Now, Five Nights at Freddy's is a franchise that encompasses 10 games, 3-book series, and there is a movie in production by Blumhouse Pictures. That's very important to know. The TV's over there, the camera's there. Hi. So, of those games, there's one VR game, one phone game, and the rest are all on the computer, encompassing many that are part of the canon and some that are not part of the canon. Now, before we get into the actual timeline of everything, we're going to go on some basic terminology. Lily, would you like to start with terminology?
Yeah, terminology. So we have the purple guy. William Afton, as he appears in the 8-bit minigames, is the purple guy. It is thought that he experiences with remnants in hopes of becoming immortal.
Now, you may be asking what Remnant is. So in this universe, Remnant is the melted metal of possessed animatronics that remains possessed by the dead children. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that the children's soul has to be part of it, but basically if the dead children's soul has touched the animatronics or has possessed the animatronics, it can be infused with Remnant and therefore continue moving even when the child itself is dead. Now, it can only be fully destroyed with fire. That's important for later.
So speaking of dead children, we have the missing children incident, where William kills 5 kids and stuffs them into animatronic suits at the second location.
Please note this is not the FNAF 2 location, but the second location created chronologically. Technically, maybe, it's very unclear. Now, it's also important to note that there are multiple missing children's incidents because there is one that occurs at the FNAF 2 location, but that is not the initial missing children's incident. That is a very important one. Another thing, the crying child is William's youngest son and the younger brother of Michael Afton. Yes?
Can I ask a question?
Yes?
Be quick.
Is there gonna be a quiz?
Yes.
Yes.
Go back to your seat.
Okay.
Now then, this one is very, very important. Agony! Otherwise known as what understanding this timeline is, but it's also an actual concept within the franchise itself. So agony is quite literally the emotion itself, which can be left behind when a angry or agonistic spirit is done possessing and is burned away through the fire. Now, this occurs later in the franchise. We'll talk about it a little bit more, and it's the reason why the amalgam still moves, and part of the reason that William Afton is able to be kept alive after he gets spring-locked from after murdering children and the dead spirits. Yes, Lee?
If we spell it wrong, do we get points off?
Yes.
Probably.
How do you spell agony?
The way it's spelled.
Okay, thank you.
Anyways, so we have more to move on. Lily, continue doing things.
Yes, okay, so we mentioned William with the spring-lock suit. So the spring-lock suit, you may ask, it is one of the kinds of animatronic suits where the endoskeletons can be removed for a person to wear, but if the person moves too quickly or frantically while they're wearing it, or the mechanisms get wet, the spring locks will fail and skewer the person alive. So that's a type of animatronic. Other types of animatronics.
There are many types of animatronics, and these are all the main characters. So if you know anything about Five Nights at Freddy's, even for you in the audience,
Which you don't.
You probably know like Freddy and Chica and Bonnie and Foxy, but they've all gone through multiple iterations with almost every single iteration of Freddy Fazbear's itself. So all the different types are, you have the classic animatronics, the toy animatronics, the withered animatronics, the phantom animatronics, the nightmare animatronics, the funtime animatronics, the glitch animatronics, the glam rock animatronics, the shattered animatronics, and the rockstar animatronics. I hope you're keeping up because that is on the quiz. So endoskeletons. So endoskeletons are the mechanisms that go into the animatronics themselves, and when they are without their casing, they're simply referred to as endos or endoskeletons. There's one last thing for terminology before we get into the timeline. Lily, take it away.
Yes, so we will start actually with Fredbear's Family Diner, which is the original location from where everything started.
All right, and speaking of that, so it is unknown the year it happened. It's thought to be sometime within the 1980s. So William Afton and Henry Emily opened Fredbear's Family Diner. It's a family diner with animatronic stuff like Chuck E. Cheese, kinda. This is where the springlock suits are actually mainly in use, is at Fredbear's Family Diner. And they have performers get into the suits and perform on stage for the kids, for birthday parties and everything like that. Now we get into the fun stuff.
Yes.
Yes?
Is that how Chuck E. Cheese works?
No.
So, okay, so the mouse is... Okay, never mind.
We are not experts on Chuck E. Cheese. We are experts on Five Nights at Freddy's!
Thank you.
Please take away the 1983 bit.
Yes, so in 1983, after Fredbear's Family Diner, William and Henry opened a second location, which is called Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. So outside this pizzeria, William actually murdered Henry's daughter, Charlie, and she is then later found out to be the puppet. We'll maybe talk about that later. So this happens at Five Nights at Freddy's 2 location,
Not the game Five Nights at Freddy's 2,
no,
just the location of Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Five
Yes.
Nights at Freddy's 2 occurs later on in the timeline. And this is all happening in 1983. I don't remember if we mentioned that.
Yes. So around this time, we think maybe the missing children's incident also is kind of there, which the missing children's incident causes the building to get shut down, not because they found the bodies that were murdered. People just kind of felt like off and weird about it, that the kids went missing. So it ends up reopening later the same year. So Charlie is killed after it reopens. At some point, while the restaurant's closed, William also opens Circus Baby's Pizza World, where the main animatronic, whose name is Baby, she captures Elizabeth Afton, who is William's daughter. So this causes William to cancel the grand opening of Circus Baby's Pizza World, and he blames it on a gas leak. Then William buries the animatronics in an underground bunker near his house because he is completely distraught with grief over the death of his daughter.
Now, there's more to get into yet that's still happening in 1983. So a very important date in the timeline is actually the bite of 83, where Michael Afton, who is William's oldest son, is being really, really rude to his younger brother, and he's tormenting his younger brother around the house while wearing a Foxy mask. So his younger brother is the crying child. I think we mentioned the crying child at some point. If we didn't, we did now. So Michael and his friends force the crying child into Fredbear's mouth. Now, Fredbear is one of the Springlock animatronics, and because the crying child is crying, it causes a Springlock failure which snaps shut and crushes the crying child's head. And because of this, the crying child dies, and William becomes resentful of Michael. Now, the missing children's incident is still occurring at this point, and it happens after Elizabeth gets yoinked by Baby. Yeah, and then that is basically like FNAF 4 is the process of Michael, or not Michael, the crying child being tormented in his home, and that's where the nightmare animatronics come in. So they're chasing him throughout his house, and they're trying to get got. Anyways, 1985. This is the missing children's incident. So William kills 5 children and stuffs them into the original suits in the employee safe rooms. Now, the missing kids case is in full swing at this point, and he's arrested as a suspect, but is released because they can't find the bodies, which are in the animatronic suits. Now, we also have an unknown date that comes in here. So at some point after the first missing children's incident, William Afton opens Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rental, not to be confused with Circus Baby's Pizza World. He rents out the animatronics to capture more children, and then later sends his son Michael Afton down to the bunker to try and free the soul of Elizabeth, who is trapped in Baby. And this is also kind of where William learns that Remnant exists in the world, and that's where his experiments to live long come. Animatronic trauma, yeah. So by the end of the week, Michael's insides are actually scooped out of his body, and he is stuffed with the sentient endoskeleton of Ennard, who is one of the Funtime animatronics. And soon after, due to Michael's decaying body, because he doesn't have any insides anymore, Ennard leaves and Michael collapses. But despite this, Michael survives and sets out to try and find his father for answers. And the reason he can get up again is because kind of like the agony and the remnant of the endoskeleton was infused in his body. So he's kind of dead, but kind of alive. So he's a second purple guy, but not the purple guy.
Yeah, he's looking real nasty.
He's a mauve guy. Anyways, that's the plot of FNAF's sister location. Take away 1987.
Yes. So in 1987, which actually takes place in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, despite already we discussed 4, so William ends up working at a reopened Freddy Fazbear's Pizza as a security guard, and he lures more kids to their death, which is not surprising. And the now possessed animatronics then hump the security guard, who is now called Jeremy Fitzgerald, and they end up biting off his frontal lobe, which is known as the bite of 87.
Not to be confused with the bite of 83.
Yes. So this causes the location, which is Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, to be shut down once again.
And this is the FNAF 2 location, not the original FNAF location that was opened up earlier. Now, in the early 90s, a separate location is set to be shut down due to numerous complaints from the health department, as well as an increasing lack of funding. This is where FNAF 1 comes into the timeline. So the health complaints were because the animatronic suits were oozing blood and mucus, as well as had a really terrible odor. This is actually the first Freddy Fazbear's Pizza location, as well as the location of the missing kids incident. But there was also a missing kids incident that happened at the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza 2 location. But this is the FNAF 1 location, so this is the first missing kids incident. And it's likely that the security guard during this game is Michael Afton using an alias while tracking his father. Yes, Lee.
Question. So I lost my spot. Is the blood and oozingness from? Excuse me. I'm trying to ask a question here.
Come on, we've got a time limit. Go, go, go.
Is the blood and oozingness that they're currently seeing the same as from the missing kids of 85, or the bite, or is it the new one?
So this is actually the restaurant from the original missing kids incident, which is what I just said if you paid attention.
I didn't pay attention.
So yeah. Anyways, take away from here.
Okay, yes. So the timeline is a little confusing, a little bit unknown. probably after Five Nights at Freddy's 1, so maybe around early 90s still, 93. So William Afton goes back to the location of the first missing children incident, and he hides in the employee safe room to try and disassemble the animatronics in hopes to experience with the remnant, which we declared that he already ended up figuring out around that time. So by destroying the animatronics, he releases the souls of the children, who then corner him in the safe room. Yes?
What year is it?
We don't know. We're thinking about 93.
93,
Anyways,
give or take.
go.
Anyway, so with nowhere to flee after he's cornered in the safe room, he gets into the spring-locked Bonnie suit, the same one he used to murder them in, and due to the dilapidated state of the building, water got into the spring-lock mechanisms and caused a spring-lock failure, which completely skewers William Afton, and he should be dead.
Just keep going.
And in 2023, 30 years after the events of the first game, William's body, or more accurately the suit, which is Bonnie, that his body is discovered in, it's discovered by a group exploring the abandoned building. They take the suit, which is a spring trap,
and the spring trap is very important. We didn't mention this yet.
Yes.
So William Afton is within the spring Bonnie suit, but in this form, he's known as Springtrap. Keep going.
Yes, of course. So they ended up taking the spring trap, placing it in their new Freddy Fazbear-themed haunted house, which is called Fazbear Frights, which is FNAF 3. Before the opening of the attraction, the building does burn down with Springtrap inside, which is, again, assumedly killing him, but it didn't.
Haha, yeah, get got. So now this is after 2023. At this, or 2023. At this point, it becomes very, very unclear at which the rate of things is happening. So it's an unknown year. So Henry Emily starts a new location called Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place. The purpose of this location is to trap the remaining animatronics and destroy them. He hires Michael as the security guard and instructs him to bring in all the animatronics he finds in the back alley, such as Lefty, which is the puppet, Molten Freddy, which is the remnants of Ennard, Scrap Baby, which is Baby after she got ejected from the amalgamation that was Ennard. Oh yeah, that was also a thing. All the Funtime animatronics from sister location kind of got out of their suits and came together into one giant amalgam called Ennard, and then that's when Michael got scooped and became Ennard, and then weird Soul Juice Baby and Scrap Trap, which is William Afton after rebuilding himself post FNAF 3 and being burned in the Fazbear Frights. So he's back, and now he is Scrap Trap. Now all the animatronics are successfully lured in, and the building is set ablaze with all inside, and it does destroy all of them, except,
surprise, William Afton did survive, kind of. His spirit is kept alive in constant purgatory by one of the children he murdered and stuffed into the Golden Freddy suit. Later, a VR game developer found some of the old circuit boards that were part of Scrap Trap and took them some codes off of them. This code was possessed by Afton's remaining spirit, maintained by Agony, and the restless spirit keeping him alive.
You pointed. You said Agony. Keep going. Keep going. I'm the right Agony.
This infected the VR game that they were making. This Agony, this entity, now known as Glitch Trap, not Scrap Trap, Glitch Trap, caused one of the developers to cut off his own face with a guillotine paper cutter, and then he possessed a game tester.
Yes, and not the guy who cut off his face. Glitch Trap possessed the game tester, and that was Vanessa, who comes in at Freddy Fazbear's Pizzaplex, which has really good 80s vibes, but it's happening technically in our future. Yes, what's your question? We don't have time.
How many pizza places are there?
That's on the quiz. I can't answer that. Okay, so now the possessed game tester is at Freddy Fazbear's Pizzaplex, and it's built on top of the ruins of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place, which was the FNAF 6 location. And also, if we didn't mention it, FNAF VR is the one where he cuts off his face and stuff.
Yeah, in the VR
Yeah,
game,
so it's
obviously.
FNAF 3, then 6, then VR. So anyways, the Freddy Fazbear's Pizzaplex is built on top of the FNAF 6 location. The possessed tester, whose name is Vanessa, or is sometimes known as Vanny, who has a weird bunny suit, is employed there as a security guard. Now, while having Vanessa work at the Pizzaplex, Glitch Trap is able to rebuild a body from the remaining parts after the fire and downloads himself into that body that is now known as Burn Trap. Glitch Trap is still there technically. It's a complicated thing. Anyways, he can still utilize some powers from being Glitch Trap and use them to possess the Glam Rock animatronics, but fails to possess Glam Rock Freddy because it is theorized, I don't know this for sure, it's theorized that Michael Afton's soul is now in Glam Rock Freddy. Anyways, also the kid might be a robot. Anyways, so a young boy named Gregory, he may or may not be a robot of the crying child, gets locked in the Pizzaplex overnight, and in trying to escape, he frees Vanessa from the control of Glitch Trap, Burn Trap, however you want to go with it, and then goes to the ruins of Pizza Place and uses the mechanisms within to burn down the Pizzaplex. Burn Trap attempts to chase Glamrock Freddy and Gregory out of the Pizzaplex, but is stopped by the Amalgam, or the Blob, which is the melted together endoskeletons of all the other animatronics that will no longer possessed, thanks to the events in FNAF 6, are still moving on their own thanks to the power of Agony! And that is FNAF Security Reach, which is the latest thing in the game. So I hope you got all that. There is a quiz.
Also, there will be a movie maybe coming out.
There is a movie. It's been in production for a while. It's being made by Blumhouse. So,
Probably will never happen, but we can only hope.
yeah, here's the quiz.
I'm sure you're all excited about it now, too.
You have 5 minutes. Start now.
We will not be open for questions.
Mm-hmm. Time is up. Pencils down. You'll be collecting your answers.
I want to say good job, but I don't think you probably deserve it.
Oh, hon. We will be grading these. Your grades will be ready by Thursday. That's it.
You're excused.